Peng friends, it is your friendly neighborhood Gizmo Penguin, and today we're here with something a little bit different. You may recall that back when I was live streaming here on YouTube, I used to occasionally do an Am I the Asshole Reddit reading together with Penguin Lord. We always found some fascinating stories, some of which even Smosh ended up reading. We love, both Penguin Lord and I love Smosh's Reddit stories. I decided, as a long-term Japan resident, why not do a Japan-focused Am I the Asshole? Yeah, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through the Am I the Asshole subreddit and see what stories we can find about Japan. If at any point you guys are enjoying, you guys already know what to do. Make sure you ping friends, slap that like button. It's always a huge help for the channel. Subscribe, especially if you want to see more content, more of such content on the channel. And comment to let me know if there are other Reddit stories you would like me to read or check out. If there's anything else you would be interested in me doing, especially in the way of reaction content or vlogs, definitely let me know. We have a very, very special Christmas vlog coming out for you. Well, it's being filmed on Christmas, so it will come out after that, but please keep posted for it. I'm so excited to share that with you guys. But anyway, let's read some Am I the Asshole Reddits, and you and I together can decide, asshole or not an asshole. Let's see how it goes. Oh, I forgot to show you guys. Look, my cute little... it's like Harry Potter Starbucks. Not even a fan of Starbucks, but I think it's so cute. I wore this shirt to one of my doctor's appointments. There's a bunch of female nurses and doctors, and they all loved it. Harry Potter's really big here. Sadly, Lord of the Rings is not as big here. Anyway, let's get into our stories. I already see quite an interesting looking one. Would I be the asshole if I legally changed my last name to a Japanese one without being Japanese from 6 years ago? Ever since I was a kid, I've always hated my Chinese legal name. It's really short and has negative connotations. When teachers say it out loud, I feel a tinge of shame. I plan on changing my first name to the English name I've been using since I was a kid, but that still leaves my last name. I like the last name Komori. Since I'm already East Asian, no one will really question me or think I'm a weeboo. But it also seems a bit culturally insensitive to give myself a Japanese last name without actually being Japanese. So, would I be the asshole? I don't think so. What do you guys think? I don't get asshole from this. And this person said their legal name, Chinese, it's really short, has negative connotations. I'm curious about what those connotations might be. They also said when teachers say it out loud, I feel a tinge of shame. I think we're all entitled to change our names, when we're old enough to do so. I think the fact that this person says it also seems a bit culturally insensitive shows that they have an understanding and respect for Japanese culture and Japanese people, so they wouldn't be doing this with the intention of being insensitive. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're aware that it might seem that way. They want to go about this in a way that's respectful. I don't get asshole vibes from this. The verdict was no assholes here. Some comments. No, but you might want to spend some time learning about the history of bad blood between China and Japan before you commit to something like this. And OP replied to that saying, yeah, my parents will definitely be angry if they found out I gave myself a Japanese last name for this reason. This is one of the factors that make me unsure if I will really follow through with changing my last name. Yeah. I stayed with a Chinese family for some time, especially when I was homeless back in the United States. And they did take good care of me. The one thing that was not good was when I expressed wanting to go to Japan. They did not like that. And to be fair, they have family from Nanjing, or Nanking as it's also known, which was, if you don't know your history, was very, very badly hit by the Japanese army in World War II. So it makes perfect sense. They're talking about the history of bad blood between China and Japan, that especially, and the family that I stayed with, I can completely understand their feelings. It probably feels a bit like a betrayal, but at the same time, we're almost 100 years out from World War II, Before too long, it will have been 100 years ago, which I know sounds crazy, especially as somebody born in that century, during that century, but yeah. Maybe they just need to talk with their family about it. Another person replied to OP and said, I would definitely not do this for that reason alone. I learned the hatred between the Chinese and Japanese is wild after I married into a Chinese family. Yeah. We're already having quite serious trouble between China and Japan right now with our new administration. I mean, Chinese ambassador said something horrendous to the new PM about cutting off her dirty head from, cutting off her head from her dirty neck. which is an unbelievable thing for an ambassador to say. Not only a call to violence, but trying to slander and shame her as well. Yes, she has quite ultra-conservative viewpoints, but if you're an ambassador, you do not do that. They wanted to pick a fight, you know what I mean? And, Chinese government is not disavowing what the ambassador said, instead defending him. So those tensions are still here. They're still alive today. So I think in OP's case, they need to figure out what's going to be safest and just best for them overall. Like, choosing such a name, would it ultimately cause them more problems in the future? Could they potentially choose a name that's close to that, but Chinese? Or using the kanji that you would use for komori, could they use the Chinese equivalent of that? I wonder. I understand, like, really liking specific Japanese family names. There are some that I really, really love, especially for Japanese characters that I've written in my books. But yeah, you've got to do what you've got to do. I don't think they're an asshole though, but they've just got to figure out if it's going to be worth it for them in the end, and maybe sit down and talk with their family about it. Yeah. Kind of a sad one, actually. Sad one to start with, huh? All right, let's keep going. Let's find some real assholes, yeah? Ooh, 7 months ago, am I the asshole telling a foreign customer in Japan to leave the cafe if he wasn't going to buy anything? Ooh. Okay, let's see. I'm an American living in Japan and spoke up to another American who I think is in the military stationed here. The guy was sitting near me in a cafe sipping on his can of Sprite when a staff member, a Japanese customer, and the manager all spoke to him one after the other in broken English, that it's the rule he has to buy something if he's sitting inside. He just kept saying no thank you to them, pretending to be polite. I felt like he was abusing the fact that they couldn't speak much English, so I spoke up and said something like, "Hey bro, if you're not going to order, just leave. You don't have to be a dick about it." He got all offended and shrugged me off. He was there for an hour with his buddies, 4 guys total, only 2 bought drinks. He never ordered a thing, and before leaving, his buddy came up to me, and although his body language and tone of voice were calm, asked me 3 times in a row, "Are you having a good day?" This wasn't my issue to get involved with, I'm aware. I just hate to see staff have to deal with rude foreign customers. Am I the asshole? Okay, there's an edit that clarifies this. I was wondering if he was with his friends the whole time. Because even if only 2 bought drinks, technically it's within his right to be there because he's with his friends, right? And at least 2 bought something. But it looks like there's an edit to the post. The edit says, "Extra information to clear up a point of confusion in the comments. When the staff spoke to him and when I spoke to him, he was by himself. He was diagonal from me at a large 8-seat table." Yeah, they have a lot of those here. "Usually used for people just self-studying, working on their computer, etc. A few minutes after I spoke to him, his 3 friends show up, 2 of them having bought drinks. I heard everything he said to the staff. He never mentioned that his friends were in line. Oh, or that he was here with others. So basically, when this all went down, it was assumed that he was just a random guy purposely disobeying the rules that the staff were trying to explain him." I see. Okay. I don't know that he's an asshole either. Without more information, I don't see how he's an asshole. Even if he's not buying something, he did have friends in line who were buying something. And a lot of the guys who come here, and girls who come here from the military, they're stationed here. It doesn't mean that they came here because of fascination or interest in Japanese culture and language. So it's very, very possible that he doesn't speak Japanese, and he wasn't trying to be an arsehole about it, right? I don't think this person is an asshole either. I can totally understand why they decided to speak up, especially because, like he said, he didn't realize that this guy's friends were in line. And yeah, you do, I think you do feel a sense of like wanting to protect the people around you, especially like when you've lived here a long time, you know the Japanese customs and hospitality culture. And you know that Japanese people generally are not going to be confrontational unless they're really trying to sort through some kind of difficult situation or something that they feel is disturbing the harmony or the culture of the shop, the school, whatever place it might be, right? So I can completely understand this person being like, here we go. We have another foreigner here who's, setting a bad example for the rest of us. So let me try to help the Japanese people here who are all trying to get him to understand the rule of their shop, right? Their cafe. The verdict was not the asshole. I also don't think the military guy was trying to be an asshole, even if he came across that way in the end. Let's see what the comments say. Someone said, "Not the asshole. Hate it when people play the gaijin card here so they can be rude and flaunt the rules." Oh, edit should be flout. He said, "The staff are probably thankful you helped since the guy was playing dumb. It's definitely rude in other parts of the world too, including the US. This guy is either a total idiot or was deliberately trying to be manipulative." Someone said more likely the latter. "It's known policy here that all patrons need to order something in order to take a seat." Really? If you have a friend who is going to buy a drink or food or whatever it is. You don't have to get something. Yes, it's absolutely more polite and it's nicer for the shop if you at least get a little something, even if it's just like a couple of cookies, if your friend is getting something, more serious to actually eat or order. But I'm pretty sure it's not like you have to do that. I think where the mistake happened here was him not saying, my friend is ordering, I'm just saving a seat. People save seats here in Japan too all the time. Usually they'll put their bags down instead of having someone wait there. But I've definitely waited while friends brought something. My friends have waited while I went to buy something and brought it for us. Usually it's food for the both of us or drinks for the both of us. But still, I don't know. I feel like they're being a bit hard on him. We've got another comment here. The gaijin card is definitely for situations where you genuinely didn't know the rules or fucked up by mistake, like standing on the wrong side of the escalator. There's no way this guy thought it should be acceptable to consume an outside beverage, in a cafe and take up space long enough for multiple staff members to come over and talk to him. That's a good point. That is an asshole move, bringing an outside drink in. That is a no-no. I would think that's a no-no almost anywhere. At least, just wait on, ask for your friend to get a glass of water. They're usually going to give that for free, and then just wait for that. Don't bring outside beverages in. That is disrespectful. I mean, I don't think anyone here is really an asshole. I think now remembering about the Sprite, yeah, I think the guy was being a little bit rude and thoughtless, but I don't think he was intentionally trying to cause trouble. His friends clearly wanted to drink here. He doesn't have to buy something if he's here with them, but sipping on his can of Sprite, that is disrespectful. I don't think he's an asshole for it, though, just a little bit disrespectful. All right, let's go on to something else. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, here's a juicy one. From 8 years ago, would I be the asshole if I visit Japan for vacation only to sleep with the women over there? Oh. Passport bro. Hey, so my cousin has been saving up money so he can go on vacation in Japan. So this Friday, he's going to leave to go to Japan. He's always loved the country. He has a bit of an obsession with them, plus he's a bit of an otaku. He's been talking about wanting to go since he was a teenager. He's 20 now. I'm 18. Well, okay, that kind of makes sense now. He's even been practicing the language and studying proper etiquette. So anyway, he's bought the tickets 3 months in advance, or maybe more. I do know he's been constantly talking about going. But he bought 2 tickets for him and his best friend. But his friend dropped out of the trip, and sorry, the writing is so weird. And since he already bought the tickets, he'd have one left over and didn't want it to go to waste, so he invited me to go with him, since I haven't got to do much over summer before I have to go back to college. This is definitely written by an 18-year-old. Holy shite. I honestly have no interest in visiting the country. I mean, it'd be nice to see, but I don't particularly like traveling or admiring historical sites. I don't really care for vacations in general, honestly. I'm a bit of a homebody. I don't mean to sound like a total pervert. But I do have a bit of a thing for Japanese girls. I just honestly think that they're so much more beautiful than American girls. Please don't hate me for that. So when he invited me, I wasn't too interested, but I thought about it and I realized my fantasy can come true if I do go with him. But kind of on the fence because it may be considered disrespectful to go to a country just to get laid. You'll think? So basically, the only reason I want to go is just so I can sleep with Japanese girls. I don't care much for the scenery or anything. I just want to get laid. Plus, I heard it's fairly easy to get laid over there if you're a white American. Is this rage bait? Okay, let me finish reading it. Oh, the tickets are for Friday and I told my cousin maybe. But I wanted to make sure that doesn't make me an asshole. So, would I be the asshole if I visit a country, not for the scenery or anything, just to sleep with as many girls as possible, as many of them as will have me? This has got to be rage bait, right? The username is Brett the Beast. It's definitely written by a teenager. It's just so gross, isn't it? Here's the thing. I can completely understand him thinking that Japanese girls are more beautiful than American girls. It doesn't mean it's true. It's kind of the objective. It's preference, right? Japanese girls do have very interesting and detailed and in-depth skincare routines and makeup routines. I also love Japanese girls' fashion and aesthetics. I think it's very, very beautiful. So I completely understand appreciating that and appreciating the time and effort that Japanese girls put into their skincare, their makeup, all that stuff, right? Completely understand that. I do think it's stereotyping. There are plenty of American girls who are also doing in-depth skincare and makeup and all that stuff. But still, I can appreciate or I can understand somebody recognizing a culture where there's such an emphasis on beauty standards that people are going out of their way to really keep up. You know what I mean? It is quite intense here. It's more intense in South Korea as I hear it. But yeah, it is intense here too. At the same time, he just wants to go there to get laid with as many girls as possible, as he said. He is absolutely fetishizing them. That's a hard word to say. I can't English anymore. He's fetishizing them, though. He absolutely is. And you know what's really gross? The line where he said, "Last I heard, it's fairly easy to get laid over there if you're a white American." Not in today's Japan. Especially with anti-foreigner sentiment. It's quite, I would say it's even stronger among the younger generations in Japan right now, the anti-foreigner sentiment. So, I mean, this is from 8 years ago, so I don't think he has to worry about it anymore. But, you know, it's always funny to me, these people who, especially guys, but there are girls who do this too with Japanese guys, right? They think they can come to Japan and, being a gaijin, they think it's going to be easy to get Japanese girlfriend or boyfriend, right? Because they think like, oh, I'll be the hot thing. Like I can be like the trophy girlfriend or boyfriend. And they don't realize that Japanese people are aware of this. They're aware of this perception of them from overseas. I really wonder how it turned out for this guy. I don't think it will have gone well for him. I kind of wish there was an update because I'd love to know. I'd love to know how many people he got rejected by. Maybe some people did decide to go with him, but yeah, that's a pretty disgusting post. I was going to say I don't know where this concept of like submissive Asian women came from. That's not true. There's so many pop cultural works, right, that depict this. Things from like Japan's past, like geisha or geiko, for example. People think that still exists today, that all the women are like that. And they tend to find out the hard way that Japanese women are very strong. They do not put up with crap. I don't know what to say about guys like this. Maybe they do have to come over here and learn the hard way, you know? True story. Almost every single time I've had to go to immigration to renew my visa, I have encountered a foreign man. I haven't encountered this happening with any women yet, but foreign men. He ended up divorced from his Japanese wife. His visa got rejected and he had to go back to his country. Almost every single time. So guys like this dude, I mean, he's a kid. When he wrote this, he was a kid. So I don't want to say we can excuse it, but to some extent, we can excuse that he's an idiot, right? He's just an idiot teenager. But actual adults coming here and thinking that they're going to get this submissive Japanese woman, maybe they have to learn the hard way. That's not to say there are not cases where a decent guy gets married to a Japanese woman and there's abuse going on, right? From the wife. That also happens. Obviously, it happens everywhere, right? But there's just so many cases where guys come here thinking that the women are going to be just submissive, you know, housewives, and then they learn the hard way. And maybe some of them need to learn the hard way. I just feel sorry for any potential children or the woman as well, as long as she's not abusive. Yeah. Ugh. This is just gross, though. Let's see what the comments say. You're not an asshole for wanting to get laid, but fetishizing a race of women makes you an asshole. You said not to hate you for it, but you also asked if you're an asshole. Opie replied, I'm not fetishizing them. I just find Japanese girls to be incredibly sexy. So he's an asshole for having preferences? Everyone's an asshole then. And someone's replied to that, fetishizing a race isn't a preference. It's taking a person and essentially making them a blow-up doll because of the way they look, yeah. Although for the record, I don't have preferences like that. I've dated a wide range of people based on who they are and how they treat others. I don't think we can say that it's not okay to have preferences. Like this person saying you should be open to anyone. I think that's unfair to say. People naturally have preferences. It can't be helped. That's why we have different sexual identities, right? Like, are you saying that gay people should try dating straight people or straight people should try dating gay people? It's weird. It's weird to say that you're not allowed to have preferences. But I do think he's objectifying and fetishizing Japanese women because he's not interested in seeing them as another human being or potentially dating them or having a full relationship. He just wants to do you know what with them. It's just saying that. And like only Japanese women. It's weird. It does feel weird and very uncomfortable. You can absolutely have a preference for Japanese women, but yeah. Edited after looking at some other answers. Yes, you're an asshole and soon to be disappointed one at that if you go through this trip. Still a neckbeard. Oh, he replied, no, I'm not a neckbeard. That's my cousin. I'm just a guy with a thing for Asian girls. I'm taking the opportunity to live out my dreams. He's a kid. When he wrote this, he was a kid. I hope he's grown up since then. Someone said it's kind of sleazy. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. If the girls that he's meeting up with are completely okay with it, I guess it's fine. It still feels like a fetish, and it still feels a little bit objectifying, but if the girls are okay with it, and they don't want a relationship, you know, as long as he's not manipulating them, I think it's fine at the end of the day. As long as they're using protection, especially if he's going to sleep with as many as possible, you know. I still think he's an asshole, though, especially based on his responses to everyone. But I do think people are allowed their preferences. I hate when people are like, no, you have to be open to everything. Really? All right, let's find another story. By the way, it is so cold in Japan right now. Oh, so if you hear my heater going, I'm so sorry. Ooh, from 3 years ago, am I the asshole for not being brutally honest about Japan to an internet friend? Ooh. I, 34 female, am not Japanese, but I've lived in Japan on and off my entire life due to my career path. And I often get random people messaging me looking for advice, friendship, etc., especially concerning moving to Japan. While I always try to be polite and friendly, I don't sugarcoat how difficult living in another country can be. I always try to tell those interested parties the honest truth about my experiences so that if they want to pursue a similar life, they can do so with some knowledge. That's decent. Recently, I befriended Joyce from the above category of people. Joyce has never been to Japan, but wants to visit someday and possibly live there more permanently. The problem is that Joyce has been very open with me about the fact that she has some disabilities and is unable to have a job as a result. While I don't know the exact nature of her disabilities, I know that they are mental in nature, not physical. Ooh, I also know that she's an American and relies on a small disability check from the government for her income, something she says she would lose if she took a job. Her plan is to afford a trip to Japan on her disability income, and if she decides to move there, to continue receiving her checks through the American embassy every month. I genuinely have no idea how doable this is. I've told her as much, but she's too excited by the idea of being in Japan to take my concerns realistically. She just changes the topic to all of the things she's going to do when she gets to Japan. I spoke to a friend about Joyce, and my friend says I'm the problem by not being more direct and upfront with Joyce about how unrealistic her dreams are. I'm not sure. I've tried being honest, but Joyce also doesn't seem to understand what I'm trying to tell her. Although she has disabilities, she should still absolutely be allowed to pursue her dreams if she wants to. Am I the asshole for not being clear to Joyce that her getting to Japan, living in Japan will be very difficult if it's possible at all? This person is not the asshole at all. They've tried multiple times, it looks like. They've tried multiple times to be clear about how difficult it could be, or not being sure about it. I do think it's a bit of a naive dream, unfortunately, because how is she going to live in Japan? Unless she's staying here on a tourist visa for like 3 months, right? Which is the amount of time you can stay on a tourist visa. But it's going to be hard to live on just your disability income here. Things are very expensive. Well, I mean, dollar's doing much better than yen, so maybe she would get more money from the dollar. But still, it sounds like she wants to live here long term. And if she wants to live here long term, she's going to need to get a proper visa for that. Unless she's getting married to a Japanese person, she would have to get a job, presumably. And if she gets the job, she loses her disability income checks. And she's saying that she's going to live here, but she's going to live off her checks through the American embassy. I think it's not possible. Of course, I completely understand her desire to come to Japan. There are many reasons why I wanted to live here, right? But absolutely one of them was due to abuse at home. And Japan provided me with this beautiful and wonderful escape, a safe place where I made a lot of lovely friends and had amazing opportunities that I wouldn't have had back in the United States. So I completely understand wanting to come here, especially if you have a mental disability. It seems to have the effect of luring people away from difficult home situations or bad situations in their home countries, and it makes sense because it's such a wonderful place to live. There's a sense of safety, cleanliness, opportunity. There's a lot of good stuff here, although it is changing. It's definitely changing in the about 16 years that I've been here. But yeah, I really don't know how she's going to do it. But anyway, is this person the asshole? No, not at all. And in a way, I don't want to put this on the Joyce person in the story, but you could argue that the person is being manipulative if they deflect. Because when this person, she said, when she's tried to be honest about it and she's not sure how doable it is, the person just changes the topic to all the things she's going to do when she gets to Japan. Either she's ignorant to what the person's saying, like she literally can't get herself to hear what OP is saying, to accept the reality of how difficult it might be. She literally isn't hearing it or just can't accept it. Or she's hearing it, but she doesn't want it to burst her bubble, so she changes the topic. So I don't think that's on OP. It's not that OP hasn't tried. It's not like she's this person's carer, you know? And I think the person who's saying that OP is the asshole for not being clear to Joyce is ridiculous. Let's see what the comments say. Not the asshole. You've tried to tell her. She's not listened. It's not your job to be her dream killer now. She should go and figure this out for herself. Who knows? It might work for her. OP said, thank you very much for this advice. Not the asshole. You should suggest she finds an immigration lawyer who can tell her if her plan is enough. OP said, thank you very much. I do know an immigration lawyer, so I'll see about introducing Joyce to this person and his firm. Nice call there. Another comment, nah, it's not your responsibility to determine whether any of her plans would work out. That's on her. I met at least one American receiving some disability, his only income, who lived, or at least traveled all the time, outside the US without working, but in low-cost countries to be able to live on the income. Japan is not a low-cost country by any stretch of the imagination. It's also not particularly welcoming to outsiders with differences, as it's culturally acceptable to call people fat, openly discuss and ask about other issues, etc. Yes, that's another really good point. If you do have mental health concerns, Japan might not be the place for you. It is still openly stigmatized. People tend to stay away from people who obviously have any kind of mental difficulties, and it can be quite isolating and lonely, even if you are not going through anything mentally. It's just the nature of the country, which can make bad mental health worse. You know what I mean? That kind of isolation, especially if you can't easily connect with even other foreigners, or with Japanese people, it can be difficult. You'll find a lot of people who live here talking about that. I'm sure you can see plenty of videos on YouTube about it. And I'm happy to talk about it sometime too, if you'd like me to. But yeah, it can be tough. It can be brutal at times. It can be extremely lonely. So if you're already dealing with mental health issues, disabilities, anything like that, you might get stigmatized. Earlier this year, I went to get tested for ADHD and autism. I suspected all my life that I had it, and I just thought it's going to be something I do for my birthday this year. First place I went to wouldn't even give the diagnosis. That is, they would test for it, but basically what they would do is give you medicine to treat it, but they didn't want to label you because they don't want you to experience any stigmatization or discrimination in society. And one of the things they said was, everybody's a little autistic or ADHD. And it's like, shut up. Shut up! If you say everybody is a little bit autistic or ADHD, you're denying the difficulties of actually having those conditions and living with them, and the experience of not being understood by people who don't have those conditions. I know I shouldn't say shut up. I know it's rude. They're just trying to make sure that you don't experience the stigmatization that tends to happen if you come out with those conditions in Japanese society. But still, it doesn't make you feel any better. You know what I mean? Then again, that could be a foreigner's perspective, because a lot of Japanese people, especially Japanese parents, might not want their child publicly outed as any of those things, sadly. It can absolutely be lonely living with such conditions. It can be absolutely very, very difficult. And especially in Japanese society, if you need special accommodations and, you have to talk to your boss about special accommodations or friends or something, it can be difficult. Not everyone understands, but I feel like it's getting much better. I don't think people would openly shun you. Some people might create a distance if they're really uncomfortable with it. Because, there definitely are still people who are uncomfortable with anything related to mental health or disabilities. But still, just at the same time, I don't know if Japan is the place for somebody who's, first of all, living on disability income, way too expensive for that. But also, if you have mental health issues or any kind of mental disabilities, it might not be a really friendly place for someone like that. Take it as someone with mental disabilities. Although there are a lot of autistic and ADHD people here. Elven Penguin is ADHD. One of my other good friends is autistic. We're getting by. Maybe I shouldn't say anything. Maybe she should try. Opie's not an asshole no matter what, but I hope this Joyce person will come here safely, do everything by the book, because right now you really want to make sure you do everything by the book. It's getting stricter and stricter. Even the smallest of mistakes is going to be hyper-inspected, And I hope it works out for her in some way. Yeah. But no assholes. The only person who I could see being an asshole is Joyce if she heard her friend, the OP, saying the truth of the matter and was purposely ignoring it to kind of manipulate her into just saying what she wants to hear. You know what I mean? That would be a little bit asshole-ish. But otherwise, yeah. Guys, by the way, if you're dealing with any mental health issues or mental disabilities, any of that stuff, maybe listen to this kind of advice. It can be brutal, but it's not impossible. Just if you go into it with that preparation and understanding of society here, it can definitely help, right? It will make things easier. Yeah. Let's do another story. I think we do two more. Are you sure about that? Ooh, okay. From 5 years ago. Am I the asshole for calling out my boyfriend's obsession? For context, I'm 25-year-old female. He's 27-year-old male. We're both white and have been together for 4 years. Who cares? Why? Okay, anyway. Using a throwaway because he and I Reddit, and this happened last Thursday. She must have meant he and I are both on Reddit. Okay. My boyfriend's absolutely obsessed with Japan, and he's the whitest of boys. Why? Just keep finishing. He studied their culture once in a class in college, has been hooked ever since. He probably knows their history better than he does American history and observes their holidays. He even spent significant time to learn the actual Japanese language. He's only been to Japan a few times and loved every trip. Admittedly, it was a great visit. We're still dating, but we're at the point where we're basically married. Basically, she put in quotation marks. We're making plans as if we are married. At dinner, we live together. He dropped this bombshell of an ask on me. How do you feel about moving to Japan? My heart stopped as I just kind of uttered something along the lines of, I haven't thought about it. Then his eyes lit up, and he just went on about it. He's been doing research, better healthcare in schools, blah, blah, blah. When I didn't respond, he asked me why. I basically called him out on his obsession. I'm all about hobbies and such, but he's basically pretending to be Japanese at this point. It's getting really creepy. Told him that there's nothing for me in Japan. I don't speak the language, and I don't really care about the country any more than I care about any other country. He had responses for each line, but this is where I might be the asshole. I said that I find it really odd that you're dating a white girl from southern Georgia and not some Japanese girl who could at least communicate with you in your preferred language. After that, it turned into a fight, and he slept on the couch. I tried to talk to him this morning. This happened last night. But when I went downstairs, he had already left for work. When he got back, he wasn't interested in talking, made a half-ass attempt at an apology for getting upset. And the one bit of communication we had was a few hours ago where he was watching this blacksmith video of a guy making some sort of sword. I'm assuming a katana or something, and made some offhand question like, I wonder how much it costs to learn how to do that. I sighed and went into my office. Am I the asshole? Yes, you are. At the very least, these two are clearly completely incompatible. First of all, from the very beginning, this person mentioned their skin color twice within the first 3 lines. What does that have to do with anything? You could be any skin color and be fascinated by another culture and society. Why are you bringing that into it? I know the West has this weird culture now where everything is about race, which is really weird to me, and I don't know when it changed. Maybe you guys know, but I even from Japan, I recognize that there's some weird issue now where everything is about race. I don't understand what this has to do with anything. Because if you changed white for any other race out there, why would that matter? Do you have to be Japanese to care about Japan? Another thing is, obviously I don't know if he's neurodivergent, but we neurodivergent people, we tend to get obsessed about things. We'll find something that we're absolutely fascinated by, we'll research it to death, and it just means a lot to us. Like, we can hyper-focus on these things that we're really passionate about. I really got that vibe from him. I don't know if he's neurodivergent, but I do know what it's like for people to think that you're unreasonably obsessed with something. Like, for example, one of my obsessions as a neurodivergent person is writing. I can write for 10 hours straight without using a toilet, without drinking or eating. I will get so lost in the writing that I just disappear from the real world. I need plenty of alone time, not just as an autistic person, but also because I need that time to write and read. I've had people get really pissed at me because of that, just not understand. And like, even writing, like, some people might say that writing is more of an academic or responsible kind of thing, right? Compared to studying Japanese culture. But his obsession with Japanese culture is not the pop culture stuff like anime, right? It doesn't feel like that. His actually feels like an interest in the history, the language, the holidays, and the significance of the holidays. I think a lot of Japanese people would actually be really grateful that he cares that much, that he respects the culture that much. I feel really sad for him. It's completely okay to be like, I don't understand this. I'm not interested in Japan at all. I definitely don't want to move there. It's completely fine. It's her preference, right? But to belittle him and to not even try to understand and to bring up race, it's so fucking weird. On top of that, one thing that really got me, at the end here it says, when he got back, he wasn't interested in talking, made a half-ass attempt at an apology for getting upset. Why does he have to apologize for getting upset? She said she called him out on his obsession. She said it's getting really creepy. Oh, and then she said that, I find it really odd you're dating a white girl from southern Georgia, not some Japanese girl. Of course he's upset. To be fair, I think some of us neurodivergent people, when we're really determined about something, again, I don't know if he's neurodivergent, I'm just speaking from my experience. When we're really excited about something, we can get quite determined about it. Like, I've got to do this. I'm definitely going to do this. Because we get so excited about making it happen that we feel like 100% confident that it's going to happen. So it's very possible that he was a bit pushy about moving to Japan and just expected her to agree. So in this argument that they had about it, because he had responses for each line is what she's saying, it is possible he was being too pushy. But she's also being extremely disrespectful, and we don't know that he was being pushy either, for sure. I feel so sorry for him, to be honest with you guys, like watching the video of the blacksmith. And she doesn't know that they were making katana. She said a video of a guy making some sort of sword. Some sort of sword, my god. I'm assuming a katana or something is what she said. I sighed and went into my office. You clearly don't love this person anymore. His hobbies are clearly, they annoy you. You guys have different goals in life. It's like, just break up with him. Let him be free. It's going to be a bit sad because I can tell that he seems quite excited for the two of them to go, but I really feel sorry for the dude, to be honest. She has a few edits here. Let's read the edits. Edit number 1. To be clear, I have nothing against Japan or the Japanese people, nor do I have an issue with his obsession specifically. You do, clearly. Until he basically asked if we could move to Japan, his hobby never impacted me or my life. Every piece of her language in this post says the opposite. He's absolutely obsessed with Japan, and he's the whitest of boys. He studied their culture once in a class in college, has been hooked ever since. He probably knows their history better than he does American history. He's only been to Japan a few times. Look at the language she's using there. Only once. Hooked ever since. He probably knows their history better than American history. He's only been to Japan a few times. I don't know. I think this was building up in her. And I think it's always been a problem for her. I think she's especially her comment about Japanese girls, like, why aren't you dating a Japanese girl? I think that might be it. It feels really insecure. And I don't blame her. Japanese girls are gorgeous. By the way, Japanese girls don't believe that. All my Japanese female friends, every time I say to them, you guys are naturally pretty. And they'll be like, no, you're naturally pretty. It's like, no. Well, I guess where grass is greener, right? And we're never happy with what we've got. But I can understand her insecurity there. But still, like, her second edit says, I can see now that I could have approached that question differently and been more civil. When we talk about it, I will apologize and state my position. No issues with him moving to Japan to pursue whatever it is he wants to, but he'll be doing it alone. Okay. I won't do long distance, and I don't see myself moving to Japan anytime soon. That's all you needed to say to him. You didn't need to, like, punish him and make him feel stupid or obsessive or something. Thank you to those who are civil, to those who message me hoping I get R-worded. Just want to let you know I had a huge laugh about it. Okay, who is sending her messages about that stuff? That's uncalled for. Yeah, she got verdict asshole, but that's absolutely uncalled for. Jeez Louise. Some of the comments. First comment, you're the asshole. I find it gross that your immediate response was a passive-aggressive, why aren't you fetishizing an Asian girl then? Weird. Not also for wanting to uproot your life, obviously, but that comment was really out of line. Someone replied to that, edit, you're the asshole, OP. It sounds like you've never had much respect for his hobby. Yes. His asking you whether you'd consider moving to a place he loves, a pretty considerate and communicative BF move compared to what is typically mentioned here, seems to have pushed your patience to the end, and now you feel it's acceptable to degrade him for it. As a Georgian, I'd hope you feel that the last thing we need is another white boy with a toxic fetish for Asian women. Thanks for pushing that. Do you guys feel that he had a fetish for Asian women? Oh, I see what they're saying. They're saying that, oh, he should move there to date Japanese women. But here's the thing. He wanted her to move with him. It wasn't like he was saying he wants to move there and date Japanese women. He wanted his girlfriend to go with him, which I think they're both white, she said, right? That implies that he's not fetishizing Asian women, right? He's just fascinated by the culture. I really feel sorry for this poor dude. I was on the fence until I read some of your comments. You're definitely the asshole here. You're the asshole. You're intolerant, judgmental, and apparently quite inflexible in your thinking. Yeah. Okay, last comment I'm going to read. You're the asshole. You said yourself that his obsession never impacted you or your life. From what I can see, he just brought up moving to Japan as a suggestion, seeing if you like the idea or not, giving a few reasons why it might be nice to live there. Your remark was crude and unnecessary. I don't see how him being white and interested in Japan and their culture is creepy and turns him into someone who pretends to be Japanese. I'd suggest sitting down with him again and explain your perspective on things and why you don't want to move there. Maybe make a compromise. Like maybe you two can plan trips to Japan every few years to visit in the summer or something like that. I can agree with this. I think I will. OP replied with, thank you. To be fair, there's possibility that he's neglecting the relationship in some way. Maybe her hobbies don't get as much attention. Maybe he's doing less with her because of his hyper-focus on these things. But that's a conversation to have, you know. There's no need to degrade your partner because of his hobbies. I think that's so sad. And I hope more people will actually be fascinated by Japanese culture in the way that he seems to be, because that's going to bring people here who actually respect this place and want to take care of it and make a good life here for both themselves and the people around them. That's the kind of people that Japan wants. So I wonder if he ever made it here, poor dude. Ooh, we've got another interesting one here. From 2 years ago. Am I the asshole for wearing a kimono for a school world fair project? At school, we had a huge project coming up where everyone had to pick a country and do a bunch of research on it. I chose Japan since I was really interested in the lifestyle there. Once the project, on the project day, they must have meant, I wore purple kimono since we were allowed to dress up to support the country that we chose. A few people said it was cultural appropriation, and I felt pretty bad afterwards. Am I the asshole? No. No, you're not, hon. I really don't understand this cultural appropriation thing. In my opinion, it's very clear if and when somebody is wearing a traditional outfit, garb, makeup, anything like that, with the intention of making fun of it, belittling it, insulting it. I think it's pretty clear cut. These moments feel not like cultural appropriation, they feel like cultural appreciation. If you ask almost any Japanese person, maybe it's changing because of the anti-foreigner sentiment and a lot of disrespect that has been shown at Japanese temples and shrines in recent years. Maybe it's changing a little bit. But basically, if you ask most Japanese people, they're going to be really happy that you care enough about their culture to wear the kimono. Unless you're going out in some crazy Halloween costume pretending to be geisha or geiko or something. That's different. That's clearly different. They want you to go to the many, many, many kimono shops here in Japan. They want you to pay money for the photography studios here that specialize in dolling you up in kimonos and getting wonderful shots done. There are services that will also film you in places like Asakusa, Kyoto, Nara, those big temples. They actually have paid services for those things, and they want people to do that. I really don't understand this weird Western sentiment of everything is cultural appropriation.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
It's cultural appreciation if you're wearing it with respect and appreciation for the culture. I've seen situations where Japanese people have called out Westerners for saying this nonsense and saying, like, no, we don't care if you wear a kimono, we'd like you to wear them. It's a point of pride for us. So if people are enjoying our traditional dress, it makes us feel proud. As long as you're not doing it, to commit some kind of crime or make fun of it in some way, how is it bad? When I lived in New York City, when I was in university in New York City, I had a lot of friends from Asia, especially because I was studying Chinese and Japanese language. My Japanese friends, as soon as I came to Japan as a tourist to spend time with them, they absolutely got me into kimono. They absolutely got me into it. I've also done kimono photo shoots for various studios. It's always very fun. They want you to wear kimono. This girl loves Japan's culture. She did it for her school project. She has every right to wear kimono. And in fact, talking about my friends from Asia, I had friends from India. They wanted me to wear traditional Indian sari. I had maybe said that Japanese instead of Indian, but still, the sari, the beautiful Indian dress, traditional dress. They brought sari for me and my sister to wear. They're the ones who dressed me in it. They asked me to wear it. They took pictures of me in it, and I remember feeling so proud to be able to wear such a beautiful, traditional, cultural piece. It's one of my favorite items of clothing that I still have, because it came from my Indian friends. And it was a point of pride for them. This girl's not the asshole. I don't know. Honestly, guys, the West, I think, is absolutely exhaustingly insane about these things right now. I really don't understand the inclination to make problems where there aren't any. It's like you just want to stress yourself out, create drama, and stress out everyone around you. And many times it's not even the people from the culture claiming cultural appropriation, Many times it's people speaking for people of that culture. They really suck the joy out of the world. They really do. It's like really a bunch of Karens. Not to get political about this, but isn't it the globalist types, the one world type, that are usually the people doing this as well? I honestly can't think of a better way to actually appreciate another culture than to learn enough about it and to visit it and to try the traditional clothes. And again, it's very clear cut if you're being disrespectful, right? She's clearly doing this out of respect for the culture, for a project. I don't know, it's weird. It really feels like people need something to be angry about or to feel like they're on the moral high ground, I'm sorry to rant about it. I know how my Japanese friends feel about things like this, and they think it's ridiculous, especially when people are telling them for them that they should be upset. I'm in complete agreement with them. I also think it's ridiculous. I really feel sorry for this OP. Of course she got not the asshole. She's not an asshole. Here we go. Look at the first comment. Hi, Japanese person here. Wearing a kimono is absolutely not cultural appropriation. It is cultural appreciation. Thank you. Please, if you're one of the people who's ranting again and again about cultural appropriation, please listen to Japanese people. If you don't want to listen to me, that's fine. But listen to the Japanese people. I'm telling you. Oh, I just realized he's a colorectal surgeon. Now you really have to listen to him. Otherwise, he gonna mess you up. No, poor guy. He went on to say, cultural appropriation would be dressing as a geisha or maiko and mocking or misrepresenting their cultural significance as artists. Yes, yes. If you ever travel to Gion, there are artisans that will dress you in traditional geisha garb. Everything in Japan is okay to do if done respectfully of the culture. Wearing a kimono is respectful appreciation the way you did it. Oh, someone replied to that. 100%. I remember videos of protesters in the US trying to stop people from attending an exhibition about Japanese culture, clothes, etc., claiming it was BIPOC culture and people outside of them shouldn't see it. None of them were Japanese, of course. An actual Japanese attending the event very much disagreed with their take. These people create problems where there are none. Just said that. The Japanese I've met so far were happy to show others their culture and customs and share it with them. Yes, of course. Japanese people are proud. They have a long, celebrated history, a very rich history. And their traditional beautiful clothing is part of that. Of course they're proud enough to want to share that with people and appreciate, if people are interested enough in it and going to respect it while taking part in it. What is going on in the West? It's insane to me. Again, the same people that are saying we should appreciate other cultures and embrace diversity are the very same people who are stifling it in this way. It's really horrible. I just realized the colorectal surgeon is because this is Am I the Asshole? No, I get it. Another Japanese person completely agree with this. I'm not Japanese, visited Kyoto this year with my daughter. We both experienced being dressed in kimono, and the Japanese people who assisted us were very supportive and not upset at all that 2 white Westerners were wearing kimono. Even strangers in the street in Gion smiled and nodded approvingly at my little girl in her beautiful outfit. Look, Elvin Penguin and I just did Yukata episode, right? There are so many shops specializing for foreigners to even buy the used yukata and kimono. They want you to wear it with respect. Our summer vlog wouldn't have been nearly as nice if we had gone out to celebrate Japanese summer in just Western clothes. Even in Japan, you have the Japanese word for Western clothes, right? Yofuku. And you have the Japanese word for Japanese clothes, wafuku. You have the distinction between the two. So, there's an appreciation for people who care about wafuku and the Japanese, traditional Japanese clothes. I'm glad people on Reddit seem to agree and are being reasonable about this. Not the asshole. My mom's Japanese, and no one in my family ever had a negative thing to say about someone not Japanese wearing a kimono. They enjoyed when non-Japanese people were interested in kimonos and Japanese culture. Yeah. How sad. This poor girl. Or boy. It could be a boy, but this poor person in general. I mean, again, because of these dementoids saying this ridiculous stuff, it puts people off wanting to celebrate other cultures. I actually think that's really sad. Not the asshole. I think we can all agree on that. Let's do this last one. I found a really juicy one here. 2 years ago, am I the asshole for refusing to learn Japanese for my wife? Yes. So some context, we met in college and we both speak English, so no problems in communication. So we got married 6 months ago, moved back to Japan since she wanted to stay close to family and I work remotely. I never really put too much effort into learning Japanese because I can get by with English for most things, and the stuff I can't, I just use an app on my phone to get by. I can barely use English apparently. So we had an argument between us about me learning Japanese to be able to integrate better with the culture. I told her I didn't want to because, well, that's a several-year-long investment to solve a problem that doesn't even exist. Okay. She got mad at me for apparently not wanting to put effort in to learn the culture of her country, and I told her it's not like I forced her to study for years to understand my country's culture. She was like, "You're American, it doesn't count," which was hurtful but fair. So am I the asshole? Holy shit, the writing is so bad. No commas, no ending marks, no question mark. So many spelling mistakes, no apostrophes. Okay. Definitely the asshole. I love that he decided on his own that there's no problem. I didn't want to because, well, it's a several-year-long investment to solve a problem that doesn't even exist. It does exist. You're showing a blatant disrespect for your wife. She put in the effort to learn your language. The least you can do is at least study, the basics. It's not hard. You can even do Duolingo and learn the basics pretty easily. You're going to hear it all the time from her and her family members, so you're going to be using it. I mean, What are you going to do if her family members come over, like her parents or her friends or something? You're just going to awkwardly sit there. You're not going to have any idea what they're saying. You can never like really join in the conversation because a lot of Japanese people can't speak English and you're in Japan. Again, you don't have to be fluent. I don't think that's important. I don't think it would be important for his wife. But really what Japanese people want is for people to at least try. I'm not even fluent. I'm not. I'm decent. I'm definitely above beginner and intermediate. Like I'm decent and I used to be much better. Once I got sick with COVID in 2020, I lost so much of my memory and so much of my language ability. And it's been so hard to even get back to where I used to be. I'm still not back to where I used to be. But I can definitely get by. I basically understand most conversations, even doctor's visits, which tend to be quite difficult. I can communicate. I still want to improve and try to get back to where I used to be. I know I'll never be fluent because I just don't have that genius brain that some people have. You know what I mean? Some people are really gifted when it comes to language, and I really respect them for that. Although I've noticed that a lot of people that are fluent in Japanese retain their accent, like their home country's accent, which is weird to me. Like a lot of Japanese people will assume that I am fluent in Japanese because my accent in Japanese is quite good. And I'm not fluent, so actually it's a problem. But anyway, I'm kind of tooting my own horn there. It's because my Chinese language teacher taught me a long time ago. Copy me, she always said. Exactly how I say it. She's like, I'm not going to be upset. I want you to copy me. So I learned to do that in Chinese and I learned to do that in Japanese as well. Specifically from actress Amami Yuki from Takarazuka. She's wonderful. Wonderful Japanese actress. I recommend her stuff. And she's great to learn Japanese from, by the way, if you are learning Japanese. Especially if you're a woman learning Japanese, I recommend her. But yeah, it is difficult. And if you don't have that kind of natural ability to really pick up languages and become fluent, I know it's tough. I know it's stressful. I know it's a bit sad as well. I feel quite bad that I'm not fluent yet after all this time here. But you can at least learn the basics. And that's going to be a sign of respect to your wife, to the people around you. This person seems really, really selfish. I feel really sorry for the wife. It's like, yes, you can use apps on your phone. You absolutely can. And I highly recommend that. I still use apps when I really can't explain something. You know, in cases where you can't rely on your Japanese ability, yeah, use an app. But at least have the decency to try. This is where you live now. Try. Let's see what the comments say. Lives in Japan with a Japanese wife, Japanese in-laws, yeah. Doesn't see the point in learning Japanese because it would take too long. What happens if you decide to have kids? I can see it now. Am I the asshole for being upset when my wife, my kid, and her family talk Japanese with me being there and unable to understand them? You're the asshole. 100% agree. Not gonna lie, I judge the hell out of people who emigrate and refuse to learn the language. Yeah. I went to Japan earlier this year, and while I found learning Japanese to be extremely hard for me, I did learn a few phrases and honorifics and greetings, etc. It was pretty funny having random Japanese people tell me my Japanese was so good. It isn't. But they were happy I at least attempted to learn some things. Yeah. Japanese people are really simple like that, in the sense that even if you only know very basic Japanese, they can tell that you're trying. They can see that you respect their culture enough that you're trying to your best to communicate with them. And they appreciate that. It doesn't take much. Another comment says, somehow I don't see that marriage lasting long enough to get at that point. Actually, now thinking on it, Opie sounds like a guy who will also throw temper tantrum. You know, he's throwing a tantrum about not wanting to learn Japanese when his wife teaches their possible children Japanese. Oof. Someone said he probably thought he was getting a submissive wife. Yeah, like I said earlier. I really feel sorry for her because it does show disrespect. And I think it's probably, in a way, shameful and embarrassing for her to talk to her parents about the situation. Like if they're trying to talk to him, their son-in-law, right? And they can't. And she has to say, oh, well, he doesn't think it's worth learning our language. You know, that's sad. I don't understand how, you can expect such a relationship to last. Guys, as I always say, you come to Japan, just even if you learn the basics, just try your best. Be respectful. He's being totally disrespectful here. So as long as you're not being like him, you're going to be fine. But seriously, even if you learn just basic phrases, use them, because your Japanese people appreciate that. I promise you they do. They're very used to tourists, especially coming here and only using English. And it can make some Japanese people panic because, you know, like us, right? Trying to learn their language. It's difficult. It is difficult, you know, especially if their job is relying on that and they can't help you. They can't figure out what you're saying. Yeah, it's like, just stay calm, stay respectful. If you can learn the language, try. This guy, you know, he could learn from her. Just little everyday things. He could learn from her. He doesn't even have to pay money to do it. And he's not even willing to do that. That's sad. Asshole. Asshole. All right, Peng friends, that was our very first Am I the Asshole Japan edition. We had some juicy stories in there. Some were quite sad, actually. They made me feel really bad for everyone involved in the story, to be honest. But I'm curious what you thought about some of these stories. Did you agree with some of my takes on it? Did you completely disagree? Did you have any other takes that I should consider? Or any points that I might have missed, because I kind of went through this quickly. But I think we had some reasonable takes there. I tried to be nuanced and balanced about things and fair. Also, do you guys have Japan stories? If you want to submit yours and have me read them, I would love to hear your stories. Questions, anything like that. We could do a whole video just based on your questions about Japan, and I'll give my best possible takes, hopefully helpful takes. Again, always remember that it's just going to be based on my experience in life here. So, you know, you want to get a variety, not just mine, but from other people too. That could be really fun. So leave those in the comments if you'd like me to do that. Oh, leave all of your questions in the comments. That could be really fun to do. But yeah, let me know if you have any other takes on this story or anything like that, because it was quite fascinating. I'd like to do this again. So if you did enjoy, if you'd like to see more of this, you know what to do. Make sure you Peng friends slap that like button. Always a big help for the channel. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit that notification bell. I recommend personalized. That way it's not overbearing, right? Not that I post too often, but yeah, that was really fun though. Some dramatic stories indeed, but very, very fun. All right, Peng friends. I've got to record another video after this, so I'm gonna go. But just because it's nighttime here, in fact, it's going on 11 p.m. Oyasumi nasai. Don't be an asshole. Learn Japanese. Bye bye bye. It's not cultural appropriation if you're appreciating the culture. Bye bye bye.